Okay, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Just want to make sure that all of you guys can hear me. So if you can hear me, say yes in the chat room. That yes, you can hear me. And also let me know if you can see the screen, inshallah. So can you see the screen and can you hear me? Excellent, excellent. So happy to hear you guys can see me, can hear me. Okay, so since we're still waiting 5 minutes, everyone else to join us. For those of you who are here, if you can just let me know your name, where you're from, and if you've been to Hajj before. So just say your name, where you're from, and if you've been to Hajj before. Love to know more about you guys. So Bismillah. Okay, Amina from Nigeria, thank you so much for joining us. I actually missed Nigeria, been there last week, few weeks ago for Abuja workshop. It was really great. So greetings to all our friends in Nigeria, mashallah. All right, Zainab from Canada, Jazakallah khair, thank you for joining. Huda from Canada also, thank you for joining. Mohammed from India, thank you so much for joining us. Ilham from France, mashallah, welcome. Ajit from UK, mashallah. Sulaiman from New York, mashallah. Most of you guys have not been Hajj, is fine, great. Isaac from USA, mashallah. From Bosnia, mashallah, from Sarajevo, mashallah. I've been Sarajevo a couple of years back. It was really great. Singapore, mashallah. Anisa from London. Lucia from Italy, mashallah. Awesome. Wow, we have a truly international attendee. Nasima from South Africa, mashallah. It's a beautiful ummah, such a global ummah. Jazakumullah khair. Shayma from Canada. Ibrahim from USA. MashaAllah. Excellent, guys. Really happy to be here with you guys, and I'm excited to start this webinar very, very soon. Just 3 more minutes, inshallah, and we're going to start. So just going to make sure if you have friends or family who want to join, let them know they can join now. It's the last time they can join this, inshallah. This is the last session I'm holding about this topic. If they can't attend now, they can still register and they can get the recording afterwards, inshallah ta'ala. But for those of you who are here, I got a special treat for you guys. Okay, Aisa from Turkey, mashallah. Awesome. Bahja from Ohio. Awesome, mashallah, awesome stuff. Aish from India. Muntas from Saudi Arabia. MashaAllah. This is awesome. You guys, you're spanning the entire globe. MashaAllah. Awesome, awesome. Okay, we got a total of 900 people registered for this webinar. We're so expecting it to be a packed room very soon, inshallah ta'ala. Almost close to 100 now about to join us, which is great. 79 people joining us. Awesome. Marim from Bosnia. Assalamu alaikum. MashaAllah. And Fatih from Nigeria. Excellent. MashaAllah. Good stuff. Alhamdulillah. So whether you've been to Hajj before or not, it's this webinar is really beyond this. This webinar goes on to the lessons of productivity from Hajj. So it's about some of the deeper lessons of productivity, inshallah ta'ala. Things that maybe even if you've been to Hajj 4 to 5 times, you might not really have taken this because you haven't thought of it from this perspective before. So inshallah ta'ala, this will be a way to share that. Oops, sorry, I hit myself here. Okay, Mauritius, Farida from Mauritius, mashallah. Shayma Muhammad from Canada, mashallah. Excellent. So we're starting 1 minute. If you need to grab a pen and paper, please do. We're about to get started very, very soon. So if you need to get pen and paper, this will be a very visual webinar. So not much notes on the screens, but a lot of visual in my voice. I want you guys, if you need to take notes, please do. Yesterday's webinar, we actually repeated the same session yesterday for those of you who are in different parts of the world. And we had some great people sharing notes as well while we're chatting. So one thing we'll do is that I will turn off the chat feature during the webinar so that everyone's focuses on the webinar. But then I'll open it again when we have the Q&A or whenever we ask you guys any questions. So inshallah ta'ala, I want you guys to stay focused on this webinar because a lot of people start chatting and it gets very, very confusing. So we'll start to do that inshallah ta'ala. Okay. All right, it is 3 o'clock Central Time and we're about to start. Okay. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah. Wassalatu wassalam ala Rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'een. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. And welcome to this very special webinar on productivity lessons from the pillar of Hajj. I'm your host, Muhammad Faris, also known as Abu Productive, the founder of ProductiveMuslim.com and the CEO of Leading Productive Lives company. My role here today is to make you see Hajj from a total different perspective. Try to understand and see the power of Hajj in helping us lead a productive lifestyle. And this has been the work we've been doing for the past 7 years of Productive Muslim, that Islam as a religion, a way of life, can help us lead productive lifestyle. And for us to see Hajj, this great pillar of Hajj with all its lessons, I'm going to be just doing the tip of the iceberg, just making some stops at various rituals of Hajj and trying to understand what productivity lesson can we take from this Hajj. Of course, there are many lessons from Hajj. There's countless lessons. I'm sure you've heard so many of them. But what I'll focus on is on the productivity lessons from Hajj. Now, I went to Hajj a long time ago. This is my first Hajj when I was about 3 years old. And I went with my family that time. But since then, I've been going to Hajj at least 5, 6 times. And alhamdulillah, Allah blessed me for the past 3 years to have gone to Hajj with my family, to have gone to Hajj as a Hajj guide. So if I was taking people on Hajj tours and teaching people about Hajj, and every time I used to go to Hajj, I used to learn a lot about Hajj and about myself. It used to be a point for me to reflect and a point for me to understand that Hajj is not just about the rituals. It's not a once in a lifetime, event, but it's something that goes on with you for the rest of your life. So inshallah ta'ala, in this webinar, in this very short webinar, I'll try my best to share as much of the lessons I've learned from a productivity perspective so that I can inspire you. Even if you haven't been to Hajj before, even if you if you're not going this year, I'm trying to inspire you that inshallah ta'ala, you could lead a productive lifestyle just by understanding the lessons of Hajj, inshallah ta'ala. And before I move on, I just want to say that this webinar is actually a charity webinar. I'm doing this for free for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but I'm also doing this to support a very important cause, which is Human Appeal International's Qurbani campaign. For those of you who don't know, Human Appeal International is a UK-based Muslim charity organization that does a lot of good work from around the world, and they support a lot of Muslims in different parts of the world. They have a lot of campaigns, but one of the campaigns in these special days, of course, is the Udhiyah or the Qurbani campaign. So they will basically slaughter and distribute the meat on your behalf to poor people in different parts of the world, whether that's in Palestine, whether that's in Pakistan, whether that's in different parts of the world, that, and at different prices. So it depends on your budget. If you can afford, some areas which are more expensive, that you can afford the sheep there, go ahead. If not, you can afford somewhere else. I highly recommend you guys, if you haven't done Udhiyah, if you haven't done Qurbani, even if you have, but you have some extra cash to support your brothers and sisters around the world, this is the time for you to support and to help those brothers. I'm just going to play a quick video so that you guys are to be aware of how much this sort of work really makes a difference to people's lives. So I'm going to play a short video, which is from courtesy from Human Appeal International, which I hope that you guys would appreciate and realize the power of the Qurban Udhiyah in changing and helping people's lives. Okay, so I mean, there's nothing more I could add to that video. It really is a moving video that shows the power of something as simple as a qurban, as udhiyah, and how much it can make a difference to people's lives. So please, if you haven't donated for your udhiyah qurbani for this year, then please think about it. Or if you have, but you have some extra money to support the udhiyahs in different parts of the world, the Human Appeal International will support you there. I'm going to offer a pop-up, so then something will appear on the right hand side of your screen which says share the blessing. If you click on that, it'll take you straight to the Human Appeal International donation page, so please do donate and support this cause. Okay, so now we're ready to continue with our webinar. Now we're going to talk about 10 productivity lessons from the pillar of Hajj. I'm going to make almost a stop at different aspects of Hajj and really try to dig out what productivity lesson can we learn from this pillar of Hajj. Now, again, I need to mention, I'm not here going to talk about being productive during Hajj. That's not the purpose of this webinar. It's more about the lessons, the ideas, the concepts that Hajj teaches, whether we go to Hajj or not. But of course, if you go to Hajj, you even experience it more and really try to understand what are those lessons from the pillar of Hajj. Let's start with the first one, the power of intention. If you think about it, from all the acts of worship in Islam, the one act of worship which we are asked to declare and say clearly and loudly the intention for is Hajj. Normally, for example, for Salah, for Siyam, we're supposed to make the intention inside our hearts. But for Hajj, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam taught us to say it loud. We're saying labbaik Allahumma hajjan or labbaik Allahumma umrah. You say it very loud and clearly. In fact, you even specify exactly the type of Hajj you'll do. Because if you know, those of you going to Hajj will know there's 3 types of Hajj. There's Hajj tamattu', there's Hajj qiran, there's Hajj mufrad. Now, you can choose between these 3 and you have to declare it at the outset what sort of Hajj you're going to do. Now, what does that teach us? What productivity lesson can we get from here? Here it teaches the power of intentions, because Hajj is a journey, and it's a journey for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if you think about Hajj, Hajj is almost like a mini example or mini journey of your life. Because you also are on a journey, whether you like it or not. You also, right now, you're on a journey towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. From the moment we're born, we are on this journey towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When we die, we're going to be in the barzakh, in the graves, and then we're going to be resurrected, and they're going to meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we are already on a journey. So Hajj is like a mini version of this journey. And for us to be making our intentions at the outset of Hajj is a reminder for us that we should also make our life journey, have clear and powerful intentions for it. There's something powerful about you being very intentional with your life. If you go through life and you're like haphazard, you just wake up and you do things and you go to work and you come back home and you watch TV and you chill on Facebook, and there's no intention, there's no desire, there's no purpose, nothing's driving you, you would lead a very, very unproductive life. But if you go through life with this powerful intentions in everything, whether in how you raise your family or where you work or what you do at work or how you support your community or how you improve yourself as a Muslim, you having intention for every single aspect of your life, that is very powerful, and that you learn from Hajj. Hajj teaches us to declare Hajj teaches us to declare our intentions loud and clear. My question to you is, do you know the intentions behind every aspect of your life loud and clear? Do you have clear intentions why you go to work, or why you help and raise your family, or why you even for entertainment, why you spend so many hours on TV? What's the intention? And the beauty of intention is that you'd realize that if something is not worth it, you will not spend time with it. If you think, man, why should I, what's the intention behind spending 5 hours watching TV? You cannot reconcile and make it a good intention. It just bothers you because you know that it's not something that's for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But when you realize, okay, I'm doing this act of worship, or I'm doing this work, or I'm doing this volunteer, or I'm writing this article, or I'm helping my brothers, or donating here and there, and I'm having this powerful intention behind it, that is what drives your productivity. That is what makes you a true productive Muslim. So the first lesson of Hajj is to have the power of is to realize the power of intention in making this journey. Now in Hajj also, one thing that's very important when you make intentions is that when you make the intention of Hajj, you immediately enter into the state of Ihram. Which means that some people think that you enter a state of ihram by putting on the ihram clothes. Not really. You can put on the ihram clothes right now and not be in Hajj or in ihram mode. Ihram meaning that you're not allowed to cut your hair, not allowed to spend sort of be intimate with your wife, not allowed to cut your nails, and all the rulings around ihram. But if you make the intention for Hajj, you immediately, all the rules apply to you. So that again is another powerful lesson for us. That once you make the intention for Hajj, you need to be very clear on what rules apply for you so that you can lead this productive lifestyle. I hope this is clear because this is very important. The intentions is an amazing and powerful way for us to lead our life. And that's why every book of hadith starts with the famous hadith, إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ, that actions are by intentions, because intention really drives your life. If you live your life without intention, you would lead a life that is meaningless, that has no purpose, and you'd be unmotivated and feel lazy a lot of the time. But once you activate the power of intentions in your life, once you lead an intentional life, then you'll be able to see how this power of intentions drives you forward completely. So this is a reminder for myself and for all of us that we need to renew our intentions in every aspect of our life. Think about your intentions in work, in family, in Islam, in community, in helping people. What are your intentions and why you're doing it and who you're doing it for? And that will drive your productivity, inshallah ta'ala. So that's the first lesson from Hajj. Like I said, we're going to talk about different aspects of Hajj and really talk about what lessons can we derive from them for our own productivity. The second lesson of Hajj is the sanctity of Ihram. Now, if you've been to Hajj or know about Hajj, you know that once you are in a state of Ihram, like I said, the state of Ihram comes in by making that intention, and of course you're supposed to wear certain clothes and and avoid certain actions. So you're not supposed to be intimate with your spouse, you're not supposed to cut your nails, to use any perfume or scented soap. There's a lot of restrictions, a lot of around the ihram. But that is, again, what's the lesson there? The lesson there is that you need to be, since you're so careful, and I've been a Hajj guide and people come up to me and goes, "Oh, Brother Muhammad, I'm very sorry, but I cut my nail, or by mistake, or I scratched my head and some hair fell off, what do I need to do?" And they become so worried about the small things about the Haram. Because why? Because they want their Hajj to be accepted. Now here's again the lesson for us, for our lives. If we want our lives to be accepted, then just like we're so careful about Allah's ruling during Hajj, we should also be careful about Allah's rulings everywhere across all time. When He says something is haram, we avoid it. And if He says something is good, we try to seek it. So we should be, as much as possible, avoiding anything that stops us from it, that basically any sins or anything that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has told us clearly to avoid. This is how we lead not only a productive life, but a life of taqwa. Umar al-Khattab was once asked, "What is taqwa?" And he said, how you walk through a bushy thorn and you're so careful not to get pricked by any thorn? That's exactly how taqwa is. You're so careful not to be pricked by any sin, by any mistake, and by any of Allah's, anything Allah has put haram around us. Now you might ask, well, what does this have to do with productivity? The basic answer is sins have an effect on our productivity. If we are sinful in our lives, then trust me, that will affect our productivity. Because why? Because the barakah is removed. What is barakah? Barakah is Allah's divine goodness, which is attached to our lives. A person who avoids sins, or as much as possible, if he commits a sin, goes back to Allah and seeks His mercy, seeks His forgiveness, and never gets tired of seeking forgiveness and seeking Allah's mercy, that person would lead a life of blessing, a life of barakah, and therefore a life of productivity. But if you indulge yourself in the haram, indulge yourself in doing what's not right, then guess what? you will not be leading a productive life. You would lead a very, very unproductive life. So this is a reminder for us. Again, Hajj here comes and teaches us that, tells to be very careful about the small stuff, right? Don't cut your nails, don't cut your hair during Hajj. Why? Because it says if you can stop the small stuff, then you should be able to stop the big stuff once you get out of Hajj. So that's a very powerful reminder. And the second lesson we have here for you, that a Hajj teaches us to lead a productive life by basically leading a productive life by avoiding sins which can affect our barakah and therefore affect the barakah from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and therefore affect our productivity. The third lesson is the Kaaba. What does the Kaaba symbolize for us? We all know it's the house of Allah. We all know that Ibrahim alayhi salam built it. And we all know this is the house we face every single day, at least 5 times a day. What does this all mean, and how does it relate to our productivity? The Kaaba is like our permanent address. Think about the word Allah used for the Kaaba, that inna awwala baytin wudi'a lin-nas lalladhi bi Bakkata mubarakan, that the first house, he used the word house, he didn't use the word masjid, he used the word house. The first house was built for mankind is what? Is the one in Mecca. Why? Hudan lil alameen, a guidance for mankind. So, we live in homes, we rent some homes, we buy some homes, but really where we feel at home, and those of you who've been to Hajj and Umrah would know this, where we feel at home is during Hajj. Where we know that, when we're next to the Kaaba, then we feel truly, truly at home. Where? Because this is the home that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made for the entire mankind. Now, what does this home symbol? This home symbolizes, number one, Tawheed, the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that we should not associate any partners with Him. This also, this house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also symbolizes Allah's the values that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has asked us to live by. Values such as social justice, such as mercy, such as kindness, such as being charitable, such as being less selfish, such as not backbiting, such as all these values and manners that Islam is teaching us is embodied, is symbolized by the Kaaba. And of course, the Kaaba, because of the amount of people that are around it, is also a reminder for us to serve humanity and to serve those around us, and to us to almost dissolve in the we and forget the I, myself, and I. Let us dissolve in the we. Just look at this photo right now of these millions of people circulating the Kaaba. There's no individualism there. No one's me, myself, and I. You can't stand out. You're almost wearing the same thing, everybody. So, and then you kind of go and you dissolve yourself in we, and you realize you're part of this greater humanity, which is the message that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is sending for whole mankind. So again, what does this have to do with our productivity? To lead a productive lifestyle, you need a set of values, a set of principles to live by. Because sometimes people say the ends justifies the means. Like you say, I want to become productive. I want to sort of build a successful business. You might go ahead and sort of, cheat people or do things not according to Sharia, not according to how Allah wants us to live our lives. And that by itself would lead to our destruction. That's not how you become productive. How you be productive according to the Islamic way of life is that you live by the principles and the values and the ideals that the Kaaba was built upon. And also another beautiful lesson here is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He describes the building of the Kaaba, He says, وَإِذْ يَرْفَعُ إِبْرَاهِيمُ الْقَوَاعِدَ مِنَ الْبَيْتِ وَإِسْمَاعِيلُ رَبَّنَا تَقَبَّلْ مِنَّا إِنَّكَ أَنْتَ السَّمِيعُ الْعَلِيمُ. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala described how Ibrahim and Ismail built, they both were raising the foundations of this Kaaba, and they were saying, oh Allah, accept from us. And this is again a very beautiful lesson for us. As we want to become more productive, we should also remember that whatever we do, we should ask Allah to be accepted from us. All our productivity, all this work, all these articles, videos, all the stuff we do, all the work you do, all the things you spend time on, can be meaningless if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not accept from us. So it's a really powerful reminder that while Ibrahim and Ismail are building the house for mankind, they were asking Allah for acceptance. And that's, and they were building the Kaaba. Imagine they had the honor of building the Kaaba and they weren't arrogant about it. They were asking Allah for acceptance. And that also teaches us to be humble. As we are productive in our lives, we need to be humble servants of Allah and say, Allah, accept from us. No matter what little we do or what much we do, Allah accept from us, and not be arrogant, think that we've reached the pinnacle of our lives. So that's the third lesson. The Kaaba being our permanent address for our values, our principles, and the idea that humanity is one and we should serve the entire humanity. And of course, that we should be humble as we raise the foundations and raise these principles and foundations in our lives. We should be humble and ask Allah for acceptance and not be arrogant about it. So that's the third lesson from the Kaaba. Number 4, the Sa'i. Now, of course, most of you know the story of the Sa'i. And most of you know the beautiful story when Hajar, radiallahu anha, was left alone with Ismail, baby Ismail at that time, in this valley between the Safa and the Marwa. And her water ran out and her milk ran out. And she was panicking. She went up the mountain of Safa looking for water, and she couldn't find anything. So she came down, and then she ran across to the other mountain, Mountain Marwa, and she got up and she looked for water. She couldn't find it. And then she went up again, down again, and she heard the baby Ismail crying even louder. So she started running the other side, looking for water. And then she came back again and did it 7 times, up and down 7 times. What's the lesson for us here? One question I have. Why did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make this woman who was a mother, a nursing mother, run between these 2 mountains? And you guys have been to Hajj and you know that how far it is between those 2. In those days, there wasn't nice carpets and nice ceramics and air conditioning and fans and lights. It was desert, hot desert. Why would Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make her run 7 times before finally sending Jibreel alayhi salam to bring forth Zamzam from under Ismail's feet? The answer there is a lesson for all mankind, that we need to struggle for miracles to happen. So a lot of us think that we just have to raise our hands, make dua, and that's it. We'll sit down, do nothing. But no, Allah wants us to know, if you want a miracle to happen in your life, if you want great things to happen in your life, you got to struggle. You got to work hard. You got to push yourself. You got to move forward. You got to take action. Don't expect Allah to send Zamzam like that without you struggling. You have to move. Even if you are a woman who is struggling, you have to move. Everybody has to move. This is a deen of action, a deen of being productive, not a deen of being lazy. This is the ummah that is driven by action, not by laziness, not by sitting back and doing nothing. We're not supposed to sit in a corner and meditate. We're supposed to take action and meditate and make dua and make prayer salah. Struggling for a miracle to happen, struggling for great things, struggling for achievements, and not just sitting back and expecting miracles to happen. This is the biggest lesson of the Sa'i. When you're going up and down this mountain, realize that just because it gets tiring, your feet hurts and it gets tiring, and then halfway through you got to run as well. It gets to you. But then you remember the reward. You remember that this is what Allah wants us to do. He wants us to move, to struggle, to push ourselves, to work hard, and not just to expect easy things and just expect things to come to us just because we're Muslims. We're supposed to work hard not only in our deen, but even our dunya, and work very hard so that we can build a life that is based on the foundations of the Kaaba, of oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, of Prince of Justice, of mercy, of serving of humanity. These are all concepts come through the Hajj as we have to struggle. That's why I call it Sa'i. Sa'i, by the word Sa'i itself, means this, is to work hard and to struggle. It's not like a mamsha, not a walk. It's a Sa'i. It's like an extra effort needed just for you to achieve this. So that's the 4th lesson from Hajj. And I hope you guys are with me so far. I know if I'm going too fast, I will pause after the 5th lesson and give you guys a break. But I just want to make sure that you guys are with me so far, inshallah ta'ala. Let's go. The last one for now, to give you a break for like 2 minutes, is Mina. Now, when you go to Mina, you would say, okay, I'm not sure what Mina is about. Because when you go to Mina, you go and you spend time in the camp and you're just praying and eating and drinking and talking to brothers and reading some Quran. And it's a very relaxed time to be in Mina, to be honest. And you might think, oh, you're just there to wait for the big day, for Arafah. But really what Mina is, I call it the womb of humanity. Because when you go there, one thing I love to do when I go to Mina is just to walk out in the streets and just to go and see the ummah. Literally, you're seeing the entire world, because I guarantee you there's somebody from almost every country in the world, at least 90% of the countries in the world, you find somebody there. SubhanAllah, it's amazing how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brings all these people from different colors, different languages, different, different backgrounds, different education. You got the PhDs to the poor person, you got the rich person, you got CEOs, you got servants, you got everyone. And you're seeing them, and they're all equal, wearing same clothes, chanting the same chants, having the same purpose, the same shared purpose you have, and every single person has a vested interest to make sure that the Hajj is accepted. So they will not argue. They will try their best to avoid argument. Of course, arguments do break out because, again, we're humans. But everyone's trying their best. Everyone's like, Hajji, come on, and they can relax, and you just live among each other for those few days. Really interact with our brothers. Unfortunately, again, we've become very, very selfish. We like to sit in our nice, comfortable homes, nice, comfortable, AC rooms. We don't like to deal with people. Well, guess what? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sends you on Hajj, and He puts in the middle of the entire humanity and tells you, these are your brothers, these are your sisters. Work with them, talk to them, deal with them, help them, serve them, move, work with them. That's the lesson from Hajj. Now, what's the lesson here for productivity? That your productivity should not be selfish. Your productivity should have a shared purpose with the entire humanity. You cannot be productive alone. You have to be productive with the entire ummah. You have to work with the entire ummah, with the people around you, starting with your family, your neighbors, the people around you, closest to you, and work together to help and serve humanity. So these, so far, are 5 lessons from Hajj. So I'm going to unmute the chat box right now. And I'm going to ask you, we're going to also give you like a 1-minute break while, if some of you want to take a break, you can. But I also want to ask you, what were the first 4 lessons I've shared with you? So I've unmuted the chat. You can type in, what were the first 4 lessons that I've shared with you, which would help, and what were the lessons, and how are they linked to productivity? So I'm going to hear some answers from the chat, inshallah. You just type it into the chat. What were those first 4 lessons I've shared with you, inshallah ta'ala? Okay. What were the first lessons? I'm noticing some people having difficulties with the video. Again, if you're in a country that perhaps has YouTube blocked, I'm very sorry, but you might not be able to see the video. So I hope it works with those of you who are able to see the video, inshallah ta'ala. Thank you for Sarah for sharing those links. Appreciate it. Oh, great. Faiza, Power of Intentions. That was the first lesson. Excellent. What was the second lesson? Sanctity of Haram. Well done. That's the second lesson. Bahja, well done. And what's the third lesson? Okay, third lesson. Nope, wasn't Mina Sa'i. Third lesson was the Kaaba. Ice, well done. Third lesson was the Kaaba. And then the fourth lesson. The fourth lesson, of course, is the Sa'i. And then, of course, we ended with the Mina as being our lesson. So that's great, guys. MashaAllah. I'm glad you guys are following so far. How are you finding it so far? Again, quick check-in. Make sure you guys are, how are you finding it useful? Is it helpful? Are you understanding? Am I going too fast, too slow? Let me know, because we're about to start the next half. We're going to talk about the next 5 lessons of Hajj. How are you finding it so far, guys? Okay. Great. I'm glad you guys are taking notes. Awesome. Good stuff. Good stuff. Okay. I'm seeing the chats rolling in. Really, really great stuff. I love this thing. I just love how you guys are just so interactive. It's really great. Jazakallah khair. Jazakallah khair. Thank you so much, guys. All right. I'm glad you're finding it useful. Excellent. Excellent. All right. So, okay, I'll try to slow down, Miriam. I'll start slow down a little bit. Inshallah ta'ala, make it and go into the next 5 lessons, inshallah ta'ala. So again, I'm going to mute the chat, and I'm going to help you, inshallah ta'ala, to go on to the next 6 lessons, and then I'm going to unmute the chat towards the end, inshallah. Okay. So we spoke about 5 lessons of Hajj so far. We said the power of intentions, and we said the link to productivity is to lead a life of intention. We then said the sanctity of Ihram, and the lesson of productivity there was that just like we avoid doing anything that violates the Ihram during Hajj, we should be very careful of violating anything that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us not to violate outside of Hajj, because that leads to a life of barakah and leads to a life of goodness, and avoids and takes away any of the barakah destroyers, which is sins basically. Then we spoke about the permanent address, which is the Kaaba. and we said that this is the address. This is like our permanent home address. This is the values and principles and the symbol should live by, because this is the life we should lead, a life of value, of principles, of social justice, of, and most importantly, of oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And also said that we should be humble in all of our, in our achievements, even if we're raising the foundations of the Kaaba. Ibrahim was raising the foundations of the Kaaba, but he also said, "O Rabbana taqabbal minna," that he was asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to be accepted from him on that occasion of raising the foundation of the Kaaba. So that teaches us humbleness. And then we spoke about the sa'i, which is basically the struggle, that you should struggle for miracles to happen. Hajar, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala could have sent Zamzam immediately as soon as they were left alone, but he didn't. He made Hajar run up and down 7 times. Number one, of course, to create this ritual for us. But of course, number two is to teach us that we should struggle to seek sustenance. We should struggle for miracles to happen and to great things happen in our lives. We shouldn't just sit back and expect things to work together, basically. And finally, we spoke about the Mina being the womb of humanity. And again, the reason I use the word womb, because you know that the hadith says that once you go through Hajj, and the person who goes to Hajj comes back home, he will come back like a newborn baby. Well, guess where? Newborn babies normally start in the womb, and Hajj normally starts at Mina. So that's why I said the womb of humanity, because literally the entire humanity is in this womb. And then people are just, inshallah ta'ala, go through Arafat and after the Hajj and come back, inshallah, basically with their sins being forgiven. Okay, now number 6 is Arafah. Now, of course, those who've been to Hajj know that Arafah is the climax of Hajj. Arafah is the day that everyone looks forward to. It's the day that you really feel the Hajj at its peak, its pinnacle. It's a very emotional day. It's a very powerful day. And it's a day of remembrance. Now, if for those who've been to Hajj would know that the time for dua between Arafah is after Dhuhr till basically Maghrib, till sunset. And that really, when you get there and you start making dua, something strange happens. Suddenly, even though you're millions of people, but you feel extremely alone. And you start thinking a lot. Start thinking about where you came from. What have you done all your life? Start thinking about your family. Start thinking about those around you. And then about the future and where you're heading. Start thinking about their judgment. You start thinking about, where your life is leading you. And it makes almost like you really comes back to the core of your humanity. And it's almost like you reach this point inside of you where you realize that, oh Allah, I'm here, I'm alone, and I'm asking for your help to help me stay steadfast, and continue on this path until the day I meet you. It's almost like a pause, like literally, I don't know how to describe it. And those who've been Hajj maybe can understand this. It's literally as if time stops during Hajj, and you're like there, and you're like in this moment where you can almost connect to your past, present, and future at the same time. And what does this have to do with productivity? This basically is Arafah is almost like a day for you to remember who you are, where you're from, and what you need to do to prepare for the big day ahead, the big day of judgment and our inevitable end. It's almost like a moment of reflection. And again, a lesson for productivity: if you want to become productive, you need these special stops every now and then, at least once a month or once a few months, where you kind of reflect and think, where am I going? Where am I heading? Where did I come from? And what do I need to do to improve myself? If you don't take a moment to stop in your day or in your month or in your week, then you'll never find that time to really achieve that momentum in your life, and to renew your intentions, and to achieve that struggle for the sake of miracles and great things happening in your life. So Arafah is a very important day, is a day for you remembering who you are, where you're heading, and what's inevitably going to happen to you. And it's a moment where you really get to the core of your humanity. And we need these moments of reflection every single day. And that's why I have the 5 daily prayers, and every single week. And that's why I have the Jum'ah prayer. And that also in every year, that's why I have Ramadan. And this Hajj is a reminder for us. So take time to reflect, take time to pause, to look back, assess yourself, assess your family, assess your environment, assess what you do at work, assess what you do with your community. Are you on this path? Are you gonna, if you continue like this for the rest of the 10, 5, 10, 15 years ahead, is this a path that will lead you to Jannah? Or is this a path that will get you to hellfire? Which path is it? It's taking this moment, take a step back to reflect is very, very powerful in making sure that you lead a true productive lifestyle. Again, the word productive here you might think about is about getting things done. No, productive lifestyle means you're going to maximize your reward in akhirah. There's no point of our productivity if in the end we basically have big balance accounts, big bank accounts, but zero accounts on our good deeds. But we need to be productive, both dunya and akhirah, and making sure that dunya is for our akhirah, and we reach the highest pinnacle of a reward in Jannat al-Firdaus, inshallah ta'ala. That comes from this moment of reflection that you understand where you're coming from and where you're heading and what you're going to do next, to how you're going to renew intentions or even choose new intentions so that you can become a new person in Arafah. So that's Arafah. It's a beautiful day, and again, climax. And by the way, it's coming up in a few days' time. And even if you're not going to Hajj, take that day. Make sure you fast that day, like Prophet Muhammad ﷺ taught us to, fast that day so that we get the reward of our sins being forgiven the last year and the coming year. 2 years of sins worth to be forgiven. One guy did the maths and said, like, if 2 years of sins, if it's a fasting for 12 hours, 2 years of sins means each hour you fast is like 2 months of sins being forgiven. I mean, that's like, subhanAllah, it's like awesome. That's from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's a gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So make sure you take the time to fast on the day of Arafah. That's coming up soon, inshallah, which I think on this Wednesday will be coming up. And make sure that you also reflect on that day. Make dua as if you're in Arafah. Make dua asking Allah for forgiveness, ask Allah to remember who you are, your family, our brothers and sisters around the world who are suffering, and really reflect on where you're heading with your life, because that moment of pause, of reflection, can completely transform your life and make you lead a more productive life. And then comes Muzdalifah. Now, for those of you who don't know Muzdalifah is on the way back to Mina. So you left Arafah at sunset, you leave Arafah and you go towards Mina, but you stop in Muzdalifah and you camp for the night. You pray Maghrib and Isha, and then you sleep till Fajr. That's the Sunnah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now, if you're in Muzdalifah, one thing that's done is that you're supposed to sleep under the, nothing should cover you up. So you're not sleeping, there's no tents. You're sleeping under the stars. You sleep and you wake up and you open your eyes and you are under the stars. And I still remember the day when one of the Hajj I went, where I slept and I woke up and I just see stars. And the lesson there for me was, hey, the sky is the limit. You've just had a great day in Arafah. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, inshallah, has forgiven your sins. Now, renew your intentions. Reach the highest level of your potential. Do your best. Set high goals. The sky is the limit. Don't limit yourself. Don't say, I'm going to go back and do what I used to do. Don't go back and say, Arafah is over now, I'm going to basically go back and do nothing. You are going to lead a very, very productive life. The sky is the limit. The sky is the limit. Literally, there's nothing that should stop you from reaching your full potential. And that's like, you get that just by sleeping under the stars and waking up, realize, subhanAllah, there is no limit. There's no ceiling. I can reach the skies, meaning that I should set high goals. I should achieve high things. Just, right now I'm off, once I've completed Arafah, I can set new goals, new intentions. The weight of the past, the weight of my sins, inshallah, has been lifted from me. Let me now really go ahead and pursue a very powerful and a very, amazing life that is for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that lesson you get from Muzdalifah. Then comes the Jamarat. So once you've done Muzdalifah, you wake up at Fajr time and you basically walk towards the Jamarat. And of course, most of you know the story of the Jamarat, and this is where the story where Ibrahim alayhi salam was taking his son when he was commanded by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to slaughter his son. He went with his son to where he was about to slaughter him, and Shaitan appeared in 3 different locations and tried to tempt Ibrahim from doing this. And the way he tempted him was very interesting. He tried to tempt him by giving him advice. He's saying, hey, hey, Ibrahim, what are you doing? Come on, man, that was just a dream. Don't worry, the dream is not that important. And, tried to give him like very logical, very common sense advice. But Ibrahim alayhi salam knew better. And Jibreel alayhi salam came down and told Ibrahim, that's Shaitan, throw 7 stones at him and he'll disappear. And then he did this, he appeared in 3 different locations. So the Jamarat, what's the symbol here? The symbol here is that we should pelt the evil within us. All of us have that inner voice that tells us, hey, relax, man. Take it easy. Man, don't need to work hard today. Give it up. It's okay. Tomorrow you'll do this tomorrow. It's okay. So, it's okay. I know this is due tomorrow. It doesn't matter, man. No one's looking. Your boss is not looking at you. It doesn't matter. You can just chill, watch Facebook, watch YouTube. Who cares, right? All of us have that voice within us. When the Jamarat teach us to pelt that voice, pelt that evil, say no. I will work hard. I will be productive. I will give more. I will give charity. I will support. I will get my work done on time. I will lead a productive life spiritually, physically, socially, at work, at home, with my family, with my masjid, my deen. I will not let laziness overcome me. Prophet Muhammad ﷺ used to seek refuge in Allah from laziness. He used to say, Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min al-'ajzi wal-kasal. Oh Allah, I seek refuge in you from what? From deficiency and from laziness. He's asking Allah, Allah, protect me from laziness. Imagine, he's asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala the great from this being lazy. So imagine, we should seek refuge in Allah from laziness and deficiency and being unproductive. And we should aim to pelt the evil within us and to not let the voices and the common sense advice adhere us. Someone says, oh, brother, you're tired, you have worked so hard, it's okay, you don't have to do this, you don't have to be of service to others. Pelt the evil within you. Pelt the evil within you. That's really a lesson for all of us in Jamarat that should teach us to be productive and not give up to laziness and to the voices inside our head. Now, number 9 comes the great sacrifice. Now, of course, nowadays you don't actually slaughter with your own hands. There are organizations that slaughter on your behalf. But what's the lesson there? What are we learning from the great sacrifice? There are 2 main lessons. The first lesson is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, first of all, is reminding us that as human beings, we've been given mastery over these creatures. Allah has given us, the human race, the ability to control these creatures, to slaughter them at will, to eat from them. And that mastery is a gift from Allah, because these creatures could have eaten us instead, right? But He has given us mastery over these creatures, and that comes with responsibility. And here is a very important environmental lesson for all of us. As human beings, we've been given this mastery over the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We should take care of the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Instead of polluting the earth and wasting water and wasting food and wasting the blessings and destroying the earth, we're supposed to, it comes, great responsibilities comes with great powers come with great responsibility. Exactly, there's that. You need to realize that just because Allah has given you this responsibility, this mastery, this power over His creation, you should not abuse it. And when we slaughter, and that's why when we slaughter, that's a show of power. That's power. You slaughter an animal and you're ending the animal's life, but then you ask to give that meat to the poor, to the needy. So using the creation of Allah and being given the power over the creation of Allah for the sake of Allah, for the sake of the values and principles of what the Kaaba was built upon, the oneness of Allah. So you never sacrifice for anything else. You sacrifice just for Allah, for social justice. So you share the meat with those who are poor and who are needy, with mercy. Even the way you slaughter, you should make it merciful, not slaughter, not show the knife in front of the animal, and so on and so forth. All these lessons come from this sacrifice. You've been given mastery, but that comes responsibility. And the responsibility on this creation that Allah has given us has made for us, so we can live our life comfortably on this earth and lead a life in a more in a way that is in line, in harmony with His universe, and unfortunately not in destroying His universe. Now, that's the first lesson, that mastery comes with responsibility. The second lesson, of course, is from the story of Ibrahim alayhi salam, when he was willing to sacrifice his own son for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The question here is, what will you sacrifice? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not asking you to sacrifice your son, but what will you sacrifice for Allah? we get very comfortable. We like our comforts. We like to, our comfortable couches and our comfortable lifestyle, and maybe sit back and do not much. But what will you sacrifice? Will you give up a couple of hours of TV and instead read some Quran? Will you give up the uncomfortable nature of going to the masjid Fajr and praying Fajr in masjid? Will you give up, I don't know, just maybe some of your income for the poor neighbors? Will you give up the uncomfortable feeling of talking to your children or to your spouse about how Islamic life they lead? What will you sacrifice? What will you give up? What will you willing to say? I'm sacrificing for Allah. I'm doing my best for Allah, and I'm willing to sacrifice some of my comforts, some of my desires, some of my wants for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What will you sacrifice? This question should haunt us every day. Really, what will you sacrifice for Allah? We've become so selfish that we don't even want to sacrifice anything. We give few minutes a day for salah and that's it. But really, we need to push ourselves further and say, sacrifice some sleep for Allah, sacrifice some money for Allah, sacrifice, some things. Just sacrifice. Make that idea of you living a life as a slave for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is a powerful lesson for all of us, inshallah ta'ala. And finally, the farewell tawaf. Now, for those who are going to Hajj, you would know that the farewell tawaf is perhaps the most, intense tawaf that you ever do. Really, it is the most intense, because everybody is doing tawaf almost around the same time, and it is really jam-packed. But within that sort of jam-packed moment, it's also very emotional tawaf, because you realize that you're basically saying goodbye. You're saying goodbye to these beautiful days you spend next to the house of Allah, next to this first house built for mankind. And you're also saying goodbye to all the brothers and sisters you've met during Hajj. It's a very also emotional time. It's a moment we realize that the values and the principles and everything you've lived past few days, now it's really a farewell tawaf. It's more about a promise you're making that you'll take away all these lessons you've learned during Hajj and apply them to when facing the world. As soon as you walk out of the Haram masjid, as soon as you get on the plane, as soon as you drive your way away, you need to start realizing that now is a time to apply everything you've learned from Hajj. The power of intentions, the sanctity of Ihram, the power of the Kaaba, the values and principles of the Kaaba, struggling for miracles, Mina and serving humanity, Arafah and reflection, remembering, setting high goals like Muzdalifah, pelting the evil within you, making the sacrifice, and now ready to apply what you're going to do in the world when you go back. This is the farewell tawaf. The farewell tawaf should be a renewed sense of promise in your farewell tawaf, that Allah, you've blessed me with this journey, and now I'm going back and I'm ready to face the world. How are you ready to face the world? With the values that you learn? Are you ready now to be true, productive Muslim? Someone who leads their lives spiritually, physically, socially for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, just like you learned from these lessons of Hajj? I leave that to answer your question. So I hope this is come now the end of our webinar. But what I'll do is two things. Number one, I want you to tell me again, what are the 10 lessons so far? What are the 10 lessons so far that you've guys shared that we've learned about Hajj? And then, of course, I'll open the question for Q&A, for questions, inshallah, for a few minutes before we close, inshallah ta'ala. So I've unmuted the chat, and you can type in and say, what are the 10 lessons so far that you've learned from Hajj that will help us lead a productive life, inshallah ta'ala. So I'm waiting to hear all of you to shout out in one go. What is lesson number 1? And then number 2. Okay. So Ilham, she says power of intention. That's number 1. Very good. The sanctity of Ihram. Very, very good. Okay. The Kaaba being a permanent address. Excellent. The struggle for a miracle in the Sa'i. Excellent. The womb of humanity, Mina. Very good. Excellent, guys. Keep it up. Yeah, keep it up, guys. Keep it up. Okay, so if it's 5 so far. Now the next 5, what is it? The next 5. Okay. Very good. I'm so happy you guys are really super interactive. It's awesome. Okay. Arafah, excellent. So day of remembering, Arafah, excellent. Muzdalifah, the sky is the limit in terms of our goals, excellent. Very well, excellent. Okay. And then we mentioned, of course, yep, Jamarat, excellent, well done. Pelt the evil within you, excellent. And then we spoke about what will you sacrifice for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, excellent. What will you give up for Allah to live a more productive life in service of humanity, excellent. And of course, the last but not least is the farewell tawaf. Okay. Well done, guys. Well done. MashaAllah. I really, really hope you guys enjoyed this webinar and found it useful. I hope that the lessons within you, that now when you see Hajj, even on TV, and you watch people go through Hajj, that these lessons would come in your mind. You realize, subhanAllah, so much more. And I've just covered the surface here. There's so much more that you get from actually being in the state of Hajj and sort of being in that environment for those few days. But if you haven't gone to Hajj, at least now you'd appreciate Hajj in a different level. You'd appreciate the power of Hajj and how it really makes a huge difference in your life. So again, before I open up the questions and answer session, again, I want to remind you guys that inshallah ta'ala, this webinar is a charity webinar. It's done for free because I wanted to support Human Appeal International, which is a international charity organization, Muslim charity organization based in the UK, which is there to support poor brothers and sisters. And they have this Qurbani or Udhiyah campaign. So they will slaughter sheep, they'll make the sacrifice on your behalf, and they'll deliver the meat to the needy people in their system, inshallah ta'ala. So please, if you are able to, there's a link on your right, the pop-up that basically says share the blessing. You can click on that. It'll take you directly to the Human Appeal International page where you can support them, inshallah ta'ala, in your campaign. Now, before also open the Q&A, I just want to make a very, very, very special announcement. Most of you guys know that ProductiveMuslim.com has been running for the past, alhamdulillah, 7 years. We have lots of free resources on our website, articles, videos, animations, doodles, interviews, there's email newsletters, ebooks, manifesto. There's so many things happening, even these webinars sometimes, so many things happening in Productive Muslim. And a lot of us said to us, hey, you have great stuff, but can we get just one, like special courses, small classes, they maybe like 90 minutes long, very focused, trying to answer specific topics that that you guys are facing, that will help us put everything together for you. So alhamdulillah, we took that feedback on board, and what we're doing now is we're launching a Productive Muslim Academy. This is our platform, the world's first online self-development platform for the Muslim Ummah. What this means is that this platform will be, if you are looking for ways to improve yourself, which is in accordance to the Quran and Sunnah, which is according to the teachings of Islam, then this is the place to be. If you go to productivemuslimacademy.com, if you click on right now, we just launched it few weeks back. It's still brand new. We haven't really made a big announcement about it. I'm just letting you guys know. I wanted you to really appreciate that this is a important platform for you. This is a place for you to go and get specific classes. For example, these are the sort of classes we have so far. For example, we have a class on how to never miss Fajr again, which talks about sleep management, morning routines, and also some spiritual elements to help you never miss Fajr again. We speak about focus in this age of distraction. We speak about how to develop productive habits and powerful routines. We also have new classes coming up. We're going to add new classes at least every month. For example, simple practical guide to developing life goals. Of course, we have a Productive Ramadan course for those of you who know about that course. And of course, we have a course coming up about strengthening your willpower. So this, inshallah ta'ala, is we're gonna add new classes. We have lots of new classes coming up. For example, salah and productivity. What is the link between salah and productivity? The link between barakah and productivity, and so many more classes, inshallah ta'ala. So I hope you guys would join the Productive Muslim Academy. It is an academy that is there for you to learn about, about this whole new development about how to develop ourselves as Muslims in a very practical, very sort of scientific, but also very religious way in terms of aligning both the values we're taught in Islam, the values from the Quran and the Sunnah, but also the latest productivity science and psychology, inshallah ta'ala, to lead us here as we are to lead us towards the akhirah in the most productive way, inshallah ta'ala. So I hope you guys you do visit Productive Muslim Academy, and inshallah ta'ala you do check one of our classes, inshallah ta'ala. For now, keep calm and ask questions. I'm here for the next few minutes with you, inshallah ta'ala. If you have any questions you want to ask, basically I would like to ask you the questions that I want you sort of to answer ask questions related to productivity and Hajj. So that's where my area of expertise. Unfortunately, I'm not a scholar. I'm not someone who can give you fatwas about Hajj and some issues of Hajj. I'm not a scholar in that regard, but I want to focus on productivity. That's my area of expertise. So please, inshallah ta'ala, if you can if you can check out the ask questions related to productivity and Hajj. Okay. All righty. So Fakhriza has a great question. How do you share the spirit of productivity and lessons of productivity in Hajj with those who will perform Hajj? Again, it's first of all, you can give them a link to this video and just walk through them, make them really understand the meanings behind the rituals. A lot of, mashallah, youth, they go for Hajj nowadays, mashallah, and they're very excited and they go and come back, but you don't see the impact after Hajj. So what you want to do is really teach them, try to tell them these lessons from within Hajj, try to make them reflect. One thing that I recommend you to do is for people to take a journal with them during Hajj and start really reflecting and thinking about the meanings of Hajj, because Hajj is very, very personal. Even though you share with millions of people, but the meanings you come out of Hajj is very personal for you as well. So take notes during Hajj, think about meanings of Hajj, and think about what will you do after you come back from Hajj. And this journaling experience, writing things down, taking a notebook and pen and just writing down your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions, your plans is a very powerful way to reflect upon Hajj as you're doing Hajj, and when you come back with some clear plans for your Hajj, inshallah ta'ala. Okay. So Say is a great question. How can you apply these lessons in our later life? Now, again, what I've shared with you so far, a glimpse, and that's why one of the blessings of the Hajj happens every year. So each year, inshallah ta'ala, whenever you come back to Hajj, you at least remember some of these lessons that I've shared with you. So I hope you guys would sort of reflect back on these lessons and think every year, at least once these lessons come to you. But then now, my plea to you is not just to make this like a nice motivational webinar and you guys feel good and then go back and forget about it. I want you to really think from these 10 lessons and say, pick one or two of these lessons. For example, let's say you pick power of intentions and say, hey, power of intentions, what practical thing can I do so that I can lead a life of intentionality, for example? Or let's say the sacrifice lesson. What can I sacrifice for Allah? So pick one or two of these lessons we've shared with you and really make a practical step towards it. What practical thing you'll do that you will fulfill this lesson in your life? That way you continue, inshallah ta'ala, to continue to focus on adapting these lessons to your life and keep revising this every now and then and think about it. And of course, Hajj happens every year. So every time Hajj happens, I hope that you remember these classes and lessons. Of course, you'll receive a video of this webinar after this call. So inshallah, you can review this webinar anytime after this session, inshallah ta'ala. Okay. Okay, I'm trying to answer questions that are related to productivity in Hajj. Again, I'm not answering questions that are fiqh related. So I'm going to repeat. So Farzan is asking about Muzdalifah. Now for Muzdalifah, what I mentioned there was that when you go to Muzdalifah, you'll sleep in this open, wide area and you look up and there's stars, right? And for me, the lesson, again, this is my own reflections. For me, the lessons there in Muzdalifah is that the sky is the limit, meaning that when you just come back from Arafah and inshallah your sins have been forgiven. So now it's like, what's next? What's your biggest potential now? Now the sky is the limit. Go for it. Go for the highest. Ask Allah for the highest part of Jannah. Really reach the highest point and really be the person who sets high goals and achieves them, and not be somebody who comes back and leads life like they used to be, inshallah ta'ala. So that's the main point about about Arafah, inshallah ta'ala. Okay, so again, I'm trying to answer questions related to productivity in Hajj. Okay. So Isa has a great question. How can women be productive in Arafah if they can't fast on that day? So if you can't fast then again, intentions matter. So if you're planning to fast on the day and then you're not able to, first of all, make sure you have the intention for it. But of course you can. If you cannot fast, then still spend the time in dua, spend the time in dhikr. Remember, Prophet Muhammad ﷺ taught us that the best dua is the dua of day of Arafah. And the best dua I can say day of Arafah is La ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lah, lahul mulk wa lahul hamd wa ala kulli shayin qadir. You can find this dua in many of the dua books online or in any Islamic bookstore. So repeat that dua constantly. So you can still make dua, you can still, remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you can still, reflect on the lessons and think about your own life, own journey, just like the people in Arafah will be thinking about the reflection on the Day of Judgment and what will happen to them. Also, you can still go through that mental exercise even if you can't fast. So make sure that you also really focus on that day and do not waste that day, inshallah ta'ala. Okay. So inshallah, the videos, Islam Ali says the video will be ready within 2-3 hours, inshallah. It'll be uploaded onto the YouTube channel and you'll share it, inshallah ta'ala. It'll be shared it'll be sent to your email, inshallah ta'ala. Okay. Alrighty, guys. So Jazakumullah khair. We've hit the 1 hour mark and really, really appreciate your time. Jazakumullah khair so much for your time. I hope you found this webinar beneficial. This is been for the past few days, I really enjoyed spending preparing for this and teaching this. And inshallah ta'ala, you've learned from this. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept from all of us. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless us, inshallah, to lead productive lifestyles for His sake. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help us learn and see the power of Islam in helping us lead a productive lifestyle, not a life of laziness, not a life of sitting back and doing nothing, but a life that is truly for His sake and that is truly to serve humanity and to us to be true, responsible human beings on this earth. So thank you so much again for coming on time, and thank you so much for spending the time with me here. Inshallah ta'ala, I'll be sending this video to your emails as soon as, within a few hours, inshallah ta'ala. Jazakumullah khair. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you all. And thank you for all the wonderful comments and the interactivity and all the great chat you guys have. Really appreciate it. May Allah reward you all. May Allah please make dua for not just myself, but the entire Productive Muslim team. There's a whole team that's behind Productive Muslim, not just myself. So please make dua for them as well. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless them all, inshallah, so we can continue serving you and helping you lead productive lifestyle. Jazakumullah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.